Now, your 13 First Alert weather forecast.
Well, you had a cold front move through last night into the early hours of this morning. So right before Hello Wisconsin went on the air earlier this morning, we had temperatures that were in the 50s across most of the area, but they dropped pretty quickly as we had some very light winds. It also helped clear out some of that cloud cover. So with the lack of cloud cover, with those light winds, that allowed for more radiational cooling, as we still had some dry air near the surface. So we had a lot of lows that were able to dip into the 30s and in some cases into the 20s as well, or at least pretty close to the 20s. But this kind of bucks the trend as we've had some very, very mild temperatures to take us through a good portion of the first half of November. But that doesn't rule out the fact that we've had some very cold mornings as well, as we did have 17 degrees back on the 1st. But we also had yesterday a temperature of 64 degrees, and we'll be getting pretty close to that later on this afternoon as well. Overall, though, we're about 3 degrees above where we should be for our average temperature. Now, again, that takes into account both high and low. As far as precipitation is concerned, though, we're well below where we should be. Now, that's been a trend for most of the year, dating back to the second half of spring. Now, a trace of that was snow, which we typically do see a little over an inch by this point in the month. But again, we've only seen a trace of that. And today, not really expecting any of that, as we'll have those temperatures that are well above average, getting about 20 degrees above that, warming up to the low 60s again. But tomorrow, looking very similar to what we saw yesterday. We'll have some of those thin, high clouds work their way through, and we'll have some very gusty winds out of the south. Overall, going through about the middle of next week, dry weather is expected to persist. Now, there's still a little bit of discrepancy in the models going into the start of next week regarding whether or not we'll have more of an active weather pattern. That's just maybe subject to change, of course. But otherwise, through the afternoon, temperatures expected to get mostly to the upper 50s and low 60s. Looking ahead through the rest of the afternoon, you'd be very hard-pressed to find a cloud in the sky. But later on tonight, this is where we get on the backside of high pressure, which, again, will keep us on the clear side. That'll bring our winds out of the south for the most part. Some thin clouds working through by tomorrow. Again, this will look very similar to yesterday. But by tomorrow night, this is where a cold front will start to work its way through. And that's going to keep our winds mostly out of the northwest, staying pretty breezy as well. But then by Friday afternoon, we'll have just a few clouds working in, but once again, staying on the dry side. As far as our temperatures today, though, getting in the low 60s, our average high this time of year in Eau Claire is 42 degrees. So very sunny, very pleasant. So if you have any outdoor plans or chores for that matter, today's certainly the day to do it. Otherwise tonight, staying on the mild side with our temperatures dipping mostly to the low 40s. There's a few spots that may dip into the upper 30s, but this comes as those winds start to pick up out of the south. Now, if you like the milder temperatures, you may want to look away at this because this is our 8 to 14-day temperature outlook, and it's looking like there's some increasing confidence that will become below average going into about the latter half of the month. And that is reflected on our 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, the last of these mild days, as we'll have temperatures mostly in the seasonable 40s, maybe a shot at hitting 50 on Saturday, but then we have another cool down heading our way towards the middle of next week. Now for a Sunshine Award, Dawn would like to nominate Endel Customs LLC and says, after my husband's accident, the people at Endel Customs LLC have donated their time helping us winterize the van he now needs in order to get around. Now, if you'd like to nominate someone, send us an email or head over to our website at weau.com.